Hey everyone, so this is a call, and what I want to talk about in this video is I'd like to talk about um, tantric sexual couplings and whether or not it's different between two men versus a man and a woman. And it is different, although I would say that the outcomes are kind of the same. Now, why am I not covering female to female tantric sexual couplings? Well, one, because I don't have a lot of experience with that. Whereas I've worked with two men and I've worked with a man and a woman before. Well, many times actually. I've worked with both categories. And also, it always kind of sits in the back of my head in some ways that, and it's not that women don't need or wouldn't benefit from tantric training, but the techniques are generally, in my view, as well as the view of the author of there's a book called Jewel in the Lotus, and I don't remember the author's name, but he also has the same reference point that the tantric practices are actually developed for men, because a man's primary driver in terms of the sexual energy, well, in terms of life force energy in general, is actually the genitalia. And we're working on the heart space. So we're learning how to lift up this energy. And so women, though, kind of naturally come from the heart space, and also women have the capacity for multiple orgasms. And, also they're implosive as opposed to explosive when they do orgasm. So in other words, men have just more to work on relative to sexual energy and relative to tantric sexual couplings. Now, to get to the point, the point here is, so how does a same-sex union between two men differ from a heterosexual dynamic? It has to do with the approach and how you end the session, okay? In my experience, for a heterosexual dynamic, for a man and a woman, there's more of a warm-up period. I'm not going to get into a lot of details. If you're interested in details on how to approach tantric sexual couplings, what you want to do is you want to reach out to me. You can check out my website. It's posted down below. Sovereign Tantric Sexual Energy Coaching Program. My email is somewhere on that page. You can email me if you do have specific questions relative to this topic, or if you're interested in some help with your sexual energy. Also down below the video is a link for the formula, which is totally free. That is a kind of a set of guidelines for men who are interested in sacred sexual practices. So going back to the topic at hand here. So with men, because the primary driver is the genitalia, the approach can be much quicker in terms of going toward the sexual activation component, where same-sex couplings tend to fall short relative to Tantra has to do with what I call aftercare. So meaning once, whether there's orgasm or not, once sexual energy has been stirred up, oftentimes what men do is they move on, right? So there was a stimulation, energy got moved around, maybe someone ejaculated, maybe they didn't. And the bottom line is that they simply move on. They go, into void filling, which is kind of the general male pattern, or they go to sleep. They go get a cigarette, they go get drugs, they go get alcohol, they go eat food, they go for a walk, whatever it is they do. But what's really needed, and this goes for solo experiences, by the way, men, if you are generating a strong energetic charge, all the techniques you're doing during a sort of a tantric experience, the bandhas and the locks and the big draw and all these like high tension kind of practices, again, you're stirring up a lot of energy. And I think as men, we become very focused on this idea of the action or the activity, and not so much the sort of surrender, receptivity, in the balancing portion of the experience. So one of the primary areas, like I mentioned before, one of the primary areas where a same-sex coupling is different is the need for the aftercare. And how that generally would look. Once all the energy is stirred up, whoever released, right? Whoever released or discharged or had the very powerful orgasmic experience then lies down. And the partner then places their hands on this man. That's it. Very, very subtle, right? So it's very subtle. You simply place the hands on the man and let him be, right? So it's not, you're no longer engaging. You're not continuing to engage the genitals. You're not rubbing and massaging. You're just placing your hands there and letting the energy naturally come back to its homeostasis or its balance point. That's the most important thing. And again, the idea is that they've done all these other practices and techniques prior. Okay, so a heterosexual dynamic, how that works is that it's more about the approach. The statement here is, woman has a plus sign by the heart and a minus sign by the genitals. Man has plus sign by the genitals, minus sign by the heart, okay? When I say plus and minus, I don't mean good and bad. I mean positive charge, negative charge. I mean electric and magnetic, okay? So when it comes to heterosexual dynamics, the importance is the approach, meaning the lead into the sexual activity needs to be delayed. You have to take your time. There should be breath work. There should be yoga. There should be connection practices. There should be massage. And not that I don't recommend these things with same-sex unions. It's simply just more important to do this, in my opinion, with a heterosexual dynamic, because a woman has to let you in. Okay, that's really important to remember. She has to let you in. Otherwise, she needs to relax. She needs to be relaxed. She needs to feel like she's connected to her body. She's connected to her partner. And then what it does is her orgasmic capacity ends up driving the peaks in the valleys of the sexual union, right? And all the man's responsibility is in a heterosexual dynamic is to not ejaculate, right? So he simply has to be able to build the heat and back it off, build the heat and back it off, right? And so, or give stimulus and then pull it back, right? So the idea here again is to create peaks and valleys. And then as she becomes progressively more sensitive and progressively more orgasmic, it's going to lead it to new heights. That is how a same-sex tantric experience generally unfolds. So again, if you guys have any questions about this, you can check out the links down below the video, etc. Thank you all for watching.